Okay, we are now on experiment number 6, email configuration and transmission of information using a Cisco packet tracer. The server's main function is to process requests and deliver data to other devices. It can share data or resources among multiple clients, and single client can use multiple servers. One of the typical servers, aside from web server that we had performed the previous experiments, is the email server. It processes information from one point to another through email. In this experiment, we will simulate using the packet tracer how does the message transfer through electronic means. So the objectives of this laboratory experiment is simulate how does the email or electronic mail transfers from one point to another, and we are going to configure email servers, determine the function of email servers in networks, and then we are going to identify how the server responses at the client's request. So here are the procedures. We would begin shortly. You could pause the video to see the step-by-step process that we are going to do this experiment. Okay, we are now starting our laboratory experiment number 6. We just opened our Cisco Pocket Tracer, and then we're going to use 3 PCs. Okay, 2 switches. Go to network devices, switch. We are going to use a 2960 switch. 2 switches. And 1 server for now. Generic server. Oh, server. And devices. 1 server. Okay. So we are going to make PC0 and PC1 to dynamic. It means that there will be no IP configuration for the 2 PCs because it has dynamic routing. So name them dynamic. Dynamic 1 and dynamic 2. And on PC2 we are going to name this static. Okay. We are going to set our PC2 to an IP address of 172.16.0.90/16. Okay. If you could remember it, first here, go to set now, you're going to config, and we are going to use a gateway 172.16.0.1 and a DNS server of 172.16.0.11. We go to fast Ethernet to set 172.16.0.90 subnet mask It's 255.255.0.0. Okay, so we leave this for now, and then we are going to configure our email server. First, we are going to label it to mail.es.edu will be the name, and then we are going to set its Ethernet to 172.16.0.40. Okay. Okay. So let's configure this first. Let's go to this config. I'm going to set its gateway to 172.16.0.1. DNS server of 172.16.0.11. That is for global settings. We go to its IP. On the fast Ethernet, it's gonna be 172.16.0.40. Subnet mask is 255.255.0.0. Okay. We are now going to services. I'm going to turn off HTTP and HTTPS. I'm going to turn off DHCP and DNS. Okay, and we are going to click on emails as MTP. Okay, and then we're going to change the domain name to make a domain name of mail.es.edu. And then we are going to add user. So user 1, datacom, password is datacom1. Going to add user 2, datacom2. User 3, datacom. Okay. Okay, so since we set this PC 0 and PC 1 to dynamic 1 and 2 to dynamic routing, we are going to need a DHCP server. So let's add another 2 server, one for DHCP and one for DNS. We could also set this on our mail, but so that we could learn how to configure this and not be confused, we are going to set our separate DHCP and DNS servers. So this one is going to be our DNS server, DHCP server. DNS server. Okay. Click. Go to config. Gateway would be 172. 16.0.1, 72.16.0.11. Go to fast Ethernet. Going to set IP address. Let's say let's use 30. 172.16.0.30. Again, subnet mask. After that, we're going to click on services. Going to turn off HTTP, HTTPS. Going to turn off DNS. Make sure that the email email is SMTP is turned off. We're going to go to our DHCP. So we could now set our default gateway to 172.16.0.1. DNS is 172.16.0.11. Start IP address to 172.16.0.100. And go to click on save. Okay, I guess our DHCP server is all set up. We're just going to turn these servers on. Okay, then we are going to set our DNS server. Click it, go to config, again set the gateway to 172.16.0.1 and DNS would be 172.16.0.11. Go to Ethernet, going to set it to 72.16.0.11. Subnet mask 255.255.0.0. Okay, going to go to services, turn off HTTP and HTTPS, we turn off the HCP, we turn on DNS. But first we turn off the SMTP service and POP3 service by clicking on the mail. Okay, go to DNS, going to set the name mail.ama.es.edu and its IP address is 172.16.0.40. This way, whenever our email client we're not just going to use the IP address type the IP address manually. We're going to use the domain name of mail.ama.es.edu. So going to add this. Okay, now we are going to set up our mail clients. So we go to desktop, go to name, say my name is Hans, and go to use a user one at mail.ama.es.edu. Okay, if we have that set our DNS server, we are going to use the mail server's IP address .40, but since we set our DNS server, we are just going to type in the domain name, so mail.ama.es.edu, mail.ama.es.edu. So you just type in the user's credentials, user 1, password is home 1. Save. So it's set here. Set here again. Go to desktop, email. My second name is Kristensen, so I'm going to use Kristensen here. Email address is user2 at mail.ama.es.edu. Same mail.ama.es.edu, mail.ama.es.edu, user2, password is datacom2. Click on save. Then we go to our static PC with a static IP address. We go to desktop, go to email. I'm going to use my last name. Email address would be user3 at mail.ama.es.edu. Incoming mail server, mail.ama.es.edu. es.edu, mail, es.edu, user truth, and data from previous password. Click on save. So now we are going to connect our devices. We're going to connect our 3 PCs to our first switch 0. Going to go to connections here, go to smart connections, here, connect our switches together. Going to use the next switch as our connection. Go to servers, server, connect to server. So we are just going to wait for 30 seconds, or we click the fast forward time. Okay, it's all green. So since it's all green, it means it's connected. We are now going to check if our email is working. So let's say PC 2 here, static, would message PC's dynamic 1. So we go to our email client here, click on desktop and go to email. Let's try compose. So, user 1 at mail.es.edu, subject, hello there, hello, send. As you can see, send is success. So we are going to check on our PC0, the dynamic 1, check if it's working. Go to desktop, we go to email, and then we click on receive. This is like the old school email clients that I was using during the 90s. Fedora or the old Outlook program. You just click on receive. Okay, should be working. It seems not. Okay, so this is the problem. We haven't set it to DHCP. So we're just going to set this to DHCP. Okay, set it to DHCP. I'm going to set this also to make sure that it's set to DHCP. Okay. Again, let's check. Okay, it's there. We could try and make a reply. Hi there. Static. We can send. As you can see, send is sent success. We're going to check on our static PC and click on receive. Okay, say going to check on dynamic or PC2 here. Oh, I mean dynamic 2. Going to compose, going to user 2. I don't know if there is there's no. I was hoping that there is a BCC or a carbon copy for what it seems that this program is limited. So you're going to check on dynamic 2, going to send an email again, say hello, send is success. Going to check our dynamic 2 PC, go to desktop, email, click on receive. Okay, it's there. Now let's see if we could reply. It's working. Go back. Static. Send success. We go to static. Click on receive. There it is. So this concludes our experiment number 6. On to questions. Okay, question 1. What is email server? A mail server is a computer system that sends and receives email. In many cases, web servers and mail servers are combined in a single machine. However, large ISPs and public email services such as Gmail and Hotmail may use dedicated hardware for sending and receiving email. Question 2. How can we send information from one PC to another? We could use an email, we could use the FTP protocol, use of USB thumb drives, the cloud, or even the old serial to serial port connection. What is static routing? Question 3. Static routing is a form of routing that occurs when a router uses a manually configured routing entry rather than information from a dynamic routing traffic. In many cases, static routes are manually configured by a network administrator by adding in entries into a routing table. Question 4. What is dynamic routing? Dynamic routing is a network technique that provides optimal data routing. Unlike static routing, dynamic routing enables routers to select paths according to real-time logical network layout changes. In dynamic routing, the routing protocol operating the router is responsible for the creation, maintenance, and updating of the dynamic routing table. In static routing, all of these jobs are manually done by the system administrator. So this concludes our video, laboratory experiment number 6. Thanks for watching.